What's up, everybody? It's Bill Stacks. So today I got John Greschner. This is the second to the last episode, and the next episode is pretty long. RB Docs, what's going on? Shift Click, how are you? It seems Angel Gotti's a little upset with me because I went over that little fight that they had over at the high school. I didn't make you guys get involved with all that, so I don't know what to tell you. Like, don't get involved with shit like that. And she said, what would you do if someone put your hand in your face? I'd walk away. That's what I would do. I'm a civilized human. I would walk away. I'm not in the mob. I don't act like I'm in the mob. So, I mean, her, she puts these trash bags on her show. She befriends all these trashy ass people. It's turning into a straight circus, but whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm going to do my thing regardless. I appreciate all you guys and enjoy this episode. This episode of Chatting with Stacks. I'm your host, Bill Stacks, and today, John Greschner calling. Can you tell me about Barry Mills and what it was like in the organization? You guys were in the top echelon of the AB.
Okay, well, when Barry first came into the feds from California, he caught a bank robbery. Him, a guy named Keto Vargas, and Danny Cavanaugh called DC. They got a bank robbery, came into the feds. They were up in McNeil Island for a minute. And then Barry from McNeil Island was going to Atlanta. And I crossed paths with him. I just came up from Atlanta. A guy had picked up a homicide down in Atlanta named Steve Payton. And he burned a guy to death with gasoline in the cell. And he pulled a bunch of us down there on his trial. We were supposed to go into Fulton County Jail. We had some little plans and schemes for the Fulton County Jail. And they took me and Jive Roberts, Charlie Roberts, a partner of mine out of Houston. They wouldn't take us into the Fulton County Jail. They took us to the federal pen in Atlanta and put us in the AWB building. That used to be the ad sec there. And threw us down there. In fact, I was down there when Big Al, Tommy Genovese, and Bobby Mulholland caught that case on Zambito, the guy that was supposed to be in the witness protection program that told on all the mob rackets and shit down in South Florida. And they walked him up into Atlanta and walked him into a major cell block, and he looked around. He thought, officer, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. The guy said, well, your cell's up there. Go up there, and we'll deal with this shit later. We're busy. He didn't last the night. They got Big Al, Tommy Genovese out of the Genovese crime family in New York, and Bobby Mulholland, a friend of theirs, wrapped all three of them up killing. He didn't last. They cut his throat. He didn't last 24 hours. So anyhow, we were down there, and when we were coming back up from, they used to, before they had Con Air, the air flights, they used to ride us around on buses all the time. So when we came through Terre Haute, Indiana, the federal pen there, the old Terre Haute, it's called I Up, where you'd lay over when you're riding the chain on the bus, man. You'd lay over. Barry was up there. He was going to Atlanta. Ronnie Pacino, Bruiser, the government accuses him of being enemy, Mexican mafia, all that. He had just picked up a murder, him, Dog Kell, and Bone. They were fighting a murder beef there on the killing down on the mainland in the hut there. And I was chopping it up with Barry. I told him, listen, a lot of the fellas are back in the control unit there with me right now. Puppets there, Billy McKinney, Coach, Ronnie Perrin, DC, Danny Cavanaugh, Cowboy Conley out of San Diego. And out on the mainland at that time was George Harp. I think he came in at that time too, but he was a little skittish. He hadn't been acting right. He hadn't been what we call polishing the rock, the shamrock, taking care of brand business. Then there was a few guys on the mainline at Marion at that time that were kind of out of California and were kind of jumpers, man, that want to claim that they're part of something. They'll show you a little tattoo or whatever, and claim that they're part of the brand, the Aryan Brotherhood. California system, the bell that rings the loudest, the light that shines the brightest for white men, for white convicts, is the Aryan Brotherhood. Everything underneath that, skinheads, NLRs, wood piles, everything, are the soldiers for the Aryan Brotherhood. Now, when they locked us all up out there for a while, put us in shoes and all that, we still had shooters, torpedoes on them yards. So there was a little crew that popped up call themselves a FTB, fuck the brand. Like they're going to take something over. They just start getting hit. They got to run off in the yards. Then other crews were trying to take shit over, and they start getting hit. Got some, get right. Got some good sense, and they got it right. So anyhow, the thing is Barry. I told him these are the guys that are down there right now. So he sent some messages, and I went down there. And at that particular time, I was never an AB1 because my background. I grew up in the streets, man, with street gangs and organized crime. The Cisco mobs, the Italians, and all. I got wired into the Italians. When I was 14, I robbed a bookmaker. I snuck into his house and stole all his shit. The guys that were with me that were scared to go in there, they fucking gave me up. So Cheech, he drives up in his Cadillac, and I got my little 22 pistol. And he said, John, come down here. I went down. I ain't fucking coming down there. He's got another dude with him, Billy O'Leary. He said, John, he just wants to. I told him, I ain't coming down there. I'm going to have to shoot you motherfuckers. Then he says, no, it'd be all right. So I get in the car, and Cheech says, I don't want your little buddies around here. They snitch you off. Because I'm still denying everything. He said, John, I like you. So that was my relationship with the mob. He told me, listen, don't do that shit again. He says it was a good thing I didn't know I slept that deep. Because he's about 5 feet tall, about 5 feet wide. And he was in his silk boxers and slingshot. And I didn't know he had a 38, snub nose 38 laying next to him on the bed because the lights are on. In his bedroom. It's bright. I'm crawling on the floor next to his bed going through his books. I didn't know there was his books making books. I'm just getting money. I ended up throwing all his fucking bookmaking books away. I burned them. That's what he wanted back. I fucked up all the bookmaking for the cities. He was doing the cities. He was for Chicago mob and for fucking Vegas. I fucked all his books up. I didn't even know it. But anyhow, he told me, listen, don't ever do this again. And when you come through, you ever get some business? I used to, get trucks, jack trucks, bring them tires. So you get any guns, bring us guns. So this is my connection to the Italians. So that's what I grew up with. So I told them, listen, I'm not interested in being in a prison gang. I always take care of my own business, man. I push my own steel and I pull my own triggers, man. I don't need help. And I got my own little cruise in that Marion at that time. We were moving a lot of product into Marion. And, my little crew and stuff. And me and Jivo, Charlie, Robert. And I told them, listen, you guys are good guys. You're good white men. And you're good convicts. You're solid. So anytime I can help you, I ain't paying rent or protection to anybody. But you guys, you're good dudes. So, man, I'd break people off. And I would break everyone off, all races, whites, Mexican, Indians, blacks, a lot of the DC blacks, man, these buddies of mine, they like weed. I'd be breaking them off weed and shit like that. These are friends of mine, man. And dudes out of Chicago, blacks out of Chicago, Gary, Indiana and stuff. I'm looking out for these good dudes, right? And Ronnie Perrin, called him Coach, he was saying, and Puppet too, they're saying, John, we're cut from the same cloth. For us to have good relationships, for us to be friends. And then Ronnie, I told him the only thing that would ever kind of induce me to maybe go that way is if you guys were organized in the streets, because my background growing up in the streets as a kid was organized crime. I got pulled into that as a youngster. That's how I caught my cases. I had a young crew, man. We were doing stick-ups, and I don't know how the fuck he got my name, got up on me. And one night I was going to a party, a homegirls party, some older homegirls. They said, man, there's some people up in here who want to see you. And I went in, and I seen 3 dudes I'd never seen before. One of them was the biggest human being I ever seen in my life. It's like 500 pounds. He made the whole kitchen look tiny. Dick was a weightlifter, a bodybuilder back then. So was his driver. And he says, man, I need to talk to you. We sat down in the living room. I told him, man, are you the police? He says, no. And he says, John, I know what you're doing. I told him, I ain't doing nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. He said, I know what you're doing. I told him, you want a cigarette? He said, no, I don't smoke. I told him, you want a drink? He said, no, I don't drink. I don't do drugs, anything. He says, listen, I run an organization. The stuff you're doing, this is what we're doing. We 10% things. We will give you all the information you need. You take the lick down, we get 10% of the take, or 20% of the take if you use our resources. Drivers, weapons, jumpsuits, radio sheets. You got to remember, back in them days, you didn't have all this computerized stuff. You had to get specific crystals for police radios, pick up their frequency. And these things were restricted. We used to get them from cops. The cops would sell us police radios, the little lead saps that they carried. Mace, I had mace before the street cops had mace. In this city, I had mace myself. And we're buying it out of trunks of police cars from police. They're selling it to us. So this was my background coming up in this stuff. So, and that's when Coach says, man, that's where we're going. We're organizing the streets. That's why today, if you talk to federal law enforcement, like the ATF on that racketeering case out in Santa Ana, they says, listen, the Aryan Brotherhood is not a racist organization. They came into being in the racial wars in California, but they were compelled to do that. They were compulsed to defend themselves and get involved. But that's really not their style. They're organized crime. And listen, it's real simple. Most of the dudes that got up in the organization back in the days when it was first starting are just guys, in the life, in the streets, man, in the rackets, in the red light districts. They're not involved in, necessarily organized crime or anything like that. They come into prison, but a lot of them use dope, they shoot dope, they sell dope, they do all that. So once you start organizing out of necessity, because you're on a battlefield now you got more mouths to feed. So you got to bring in bigger loads of dope. Now you got to sell the shit and make your nuts so you can re-up and do all this stuff. So it turns in, just by the very nature of the beast, it turns into organized crime, man. So that's the thing with that. So that's what I told me. So, well, that's where they're going, and that's how I ended up getting into that. And the time I'm doing now is in connection with gambling operations in Leavenworth. Pete Early said in his book, I did a public execution. That ain't true. I got in a knife fight with this guy. A guy out of California was talking about killing me, and a partner of mine, a Japanese dude, about gambling things. I told him, you got to get out of the gambling games till you pay your debt. He only owed like $1,200, $1,500. But these are honorable gambling games. These are high-stake games. I've seen 30, 40,000 cash on the tables, and that ain't even the big money. The big money's bank account to bank account in the streets. It's cartel guys, organized crime guys, and all that. We're the house. We provide the protection, the liquor, the food, everything else. And, now you're fucking up the game. So he didn't like that. He tried to move on. Him and another guy tried to move on me and this Japanese partner of mine.
There's more episodes on the way. I think there's 3 more. And part 5 is up now. You guys can go check it out under the members only. So if you want to see part 5 before it's out, join the membership and you'll be able to see that. I hope you guys are all having a great night. Got a lot of content dropping. And listen, anyone can say whatever they want about me. I've been called worse by better. Thanks. Have a great night. And remember, don't be a bitch.